The music that means hockey. Welcome inside the NHL. Thanks for clicking on ESPN.com. Next to the Colonel Sanders. Get me a bucket of chicken.
You know what I smell tonight?
What?
And it's not chicken.
What?
What's the overtime challenge?
Barry, it's been a busy day.
Has it ever been? You get home tonight and start licking those stamps
it's been
again.
The busiest second round since we went to this
It's been a great
format.
second round. Every game's going into overtime.
All right, we got a great show, and the budget is bursting because we have LeBrun and Burnside from Pittsburgh, like on a real camera. Look,
no way.
Look how handsome they are. No Skype to disguise their handsomeness. And we're going to play a game called Hero, Villain, Goat. Scotty, we start with you. Your job is to pick out a villain of these playoffs.
Well, actually, I'm going to start with you guys because you invoked the term overtime before our game here in Pittsburgh. So there's a special curse for you guys. But you know what? I'm going to stay with the Pittsburgh-Washington series because I'm not sure Chris Letang is a villain necessarily, but he's crossed the line once. He's been on that razor's edge line another time in this playoff year. I think it's fair to say he is the most important Pittsburgh Penguin, and that's no disrespect to Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel. Chris Letang makes this team hum, and it's why a lot of people like them to win a Stanley Cup later this spring. But he took a one-game suspension in Game 3 of this series against Washington, a needless, dangerous hit on Marcus Johansson. And this was after he escaped penalty and suspension in the first round against the New York Rangers when he whacked Victor Stahlberg in the face with his stick. So he's treading that line. Certainly the Pittsburgh Penguin fans and the coaching staff need Chris Letang to stay out of the box and out of the press box if this team is going to move forward. So he's got to watch that he doesn't fall into that villain category.
Okay, Pierre LeBrun, let's talk about a GOAT situation. In terms of the Stanley Cup playoffs, when you hear the word GOAT, what comes to mind?
The New York Islanders come to mind, and boy, am I in for some hate on Twitter from Islander fans. But if you're going to upset the Florida Panthers, how about you do something with it in the second round? I think that upset, all it did is ruin what would have been a great first ever all-Florida series between the Panthers and the Lightning. I think Florida would have given the Lightning a bigger push. They did during the regular season. Both teams were very even. So I guess that would be my GOAT is Islanders. Come on, do something with that. They didn't do much in that second round.
Yeah, and hopefully the glass situation can be better next year as well down there in Brooklyn. All right, Barry, we've talked about villains. We talked about GOATs. Tina Turner once saying, "We don't need another hero, but give me one anyway."
I love Tina Turner, and I also love goat cheese.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with not even a hero. I'm going to go with a superhero by what this guy's done, and that's Matt Murray. 21 years old, wasn't even supposed to be the goaltender. He's only playing because Fleury got hurt, and the kid's been unbelievable. He's been as good, if not better, than just about every goaltender in the playoffs. He's playing great. I can't even remember a soft goal this kid's given up, maybe one that trickled through his legs. But other than that, he's been rock solid. And this is a team that does not have a great playoff history the last several years in the NHL. He's really stabilized them back there. Obviously, he's a goaltender of the future, but this kid has been fantastic. And to find a kid like this at such a short notice, coming up from the American League and playing this well, is just a great story. So he's my hero. He's an Avenger. The guy's
Iron Man.
The guy's an awesome young goaltender, and he saved the bacon of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And we could see him at the World Cup.
Yep.
People are wondering who's going to play goal for that team.
I think he's certainly got his foot in the door. I think he's changed a few people's thinking.
Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, boys. And, can they do it? No Stamkos for now. I don't think people expected Scotty Burnside and Pierre LeBrun for them to make the conference final, but here they are. You a believer, Scotty?
Well, I mean, belief is a relative thing. I mean, I really wasn't sure what to get from the Tampa Bay Lightning going into the playoffs. No Anton Stralman, no Steven Stamkos. Detroit Red Wings pushed them in the first round a year ago, 7 games. Ben Bishop bailed them out big time in that series. But the Tampa Bay Lightning had a very easy time with a Red Wing team that turned out to be pretty darn mediocre. And then, as Pierre alluded to, the New York Islanders knocking off the Florida Panthers in the first round, drew the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round. Simply were not very good. Won the first game. Tampa steamrolled the next 4. So, when you think about the Washington Capitals or the Pittsburgh Penguins, for my money, those teams are still a significant level above the Tampa Bay Lightning. We don't know about Anton Stralman. We don't know about Steven Stamkos. We think that the edge would go to Ben Bishop in goal, but the way Braden Holtby or Matt Murray, as Barry pointed out, have been playing, I don't think there's an edge there at all. And I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to have a big adjustment period, regardless of who they face, when they start on the road in the Eastern Conference Final. and I don't expect them to advance to a second straight Stanley Cup final as a result.
So you weren't covering the playoffs last year. You took the whole spring off on vacation. You didn't witness the Tampa Bay Lightning getting to a Stanley Cup final. They are playing better hockey now than they were a year ago at this juncture. Yes, they played a couple of teams that might be the two weakest teams that made the playoffs. Well, it's not their fault, and guess what? They crushed them both. So how else are they supposed to prove that they're a good team right now? They're getting Strawman back at some point. I'll tell you right now, Stamkos is a great player, great captain, one of the best goal scorers in the world, but the guy that hurts them more being out of lineup is Anton Strawman because of what he does for Victor Hedman, because of how weak they are on the right side. When he returns, that's a major boost for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Anyone thinking that the Pittsburgh-Washington second-round series is actually the conference final, you are smoking something. Watch out for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They will be hard to beat.
Yeah, Barry, what an organization from the owner to Yzerman. The coach is good. The goalie is good. When you start with that owner, president, GM, coach, and goalie, and from there, they got a lot of good stuff. Are you a believer in the Lightning?
I'm a believer in the Lightning. They showed me last year what they did. They got as good a goaltender as there is in the NHL. The guy's already went to the Stanley Cup final. Victor Hedman, flat out, was the best defenseman in the game today. Look what he did to Tavares. Tavares was the top scorer in the playoffs going into that series. Totally shut him down. And not only that, he's scoring goals at an amazing clip. And the rest of the D-core is a great supporting cast. They're big. They're mobile. They got big shots from the point. They don't beat themselves. Special teams are awesome. Their penalty killing is superb. And the triplet line arguably is the best line in the playoffs right now. So I like this team a lot. They might get Strawman back. They might get Stamkos back. I don't really think it matters with this team, the way they're playing right now. This team has went under the radar for a long time. It's been to the it was a goal away from going to the Stanley Cup final 3 or 4 years ago. So this team has got a lot of winners in that dressing room. I like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they win the next round.
A lot of interesting about these playoffs. A lot of teams with demons in their past. The Capitals, the Blues, the Sharks. You know, the Blues and Sharks trying to get to a final. The Capitals just trying to get to a conference final, fellas, with Ovechkin. They haven't done that yet. So let's talk about then the Shark and Predator series. Home team has won each game. Anything can happen in San Jose. Scotty, again, we start with you. What do you think? Do the Sharks exercise the demons and move on to the conference final, or did the Preds finally get there for their fans?
Well, I know which way Pierre is going because there's still a life-size paper-mache model of Pierre LeBrun outside the Shark Tank in San Jose. But me, I'm going with the Nashville Predators. Woo! And I'll tell you, this Predator team might be playing its best hockey of the season right now. Pekka Rinne, who had an up-and-down regular season, is back in Vezina Trophy form. And this is a Predator team that's really uncharted territory this spring. They'd never played a Game 7 in their franchise history, went to Anaheim, beat a team that a lot of us like to win a Stanley Cup. Now they're going for their chance to go to their first ever Western Conference Final, their second Game 7 in a row. I like what the Predators have done. Peter Laviolette has not been afraid to make the hard lineup decisions. He had Mike Ribeiro out. He has not been afraid to push this team forward, and I think we've seen some real wobble from the San Jose Sharks, a team that we can all remember blowing a 3-0 series lead against the Los Angeles Kings 2 years ago. I think this is the Predators' time.
Oh, but Scotty, again with your memory, yes, they blew that 3-0 lead against the Kings 2 years ago, but then they beat those Kings a couple of weeks ago in 5 and exercise those demons against their boogeyman, the LA Kings. I think San Jose will win at home. And, you know, one of the things I think will help them is that the Nashville Predators are playing their second consecutive Game 7 back-to-back series, a really grueling 7-game series against the Anaheim Ducks. I covered part of that series. Full value for Nashville beating Anaheim, a big upset, and now they're going 7 again. I think that's a lot. It's a lot to take for a team. I think the team that has fresher legs, the San Jose Sharks, will prevail. I think Joe Thornton and Joe Pavelski are dialed in. Martin Jones has proven he's a true number 1 goalie in these playoffs. The Sharks will be going to their 4th conference final since 2004.
Great job, guys. We'll say goodbye to you now. You've survived the sound checks and the light show, and great job. We're so glad you joined us from Pittsburgh via the camera. Barry, what do you think? Sharks, Predators, Game 7.
I think the Sharks for a couple of reasons. First off, home ice seems to matter in this series for some reason. It usually doesn't in the NHL, but every game at home has been won by the home team. Also, the power play of the San Jose Sharks is the best in the playoffs so far. They get another one in Game 6. Couture gets it. Pavelski scoring power play goals. Burns is as good a defenseman as there is offensively in the NHL today. They just seem to have a real good unit. Joe Thornton's on that, Marlowe's on that. This team can skate. This team can create offensive chances. So I think if the Predators take any kind of a number of penalties, like 4 or 5, I think that'll be at least 2 goals for the San Jose Sharks, and probably 2 goals be enough to win this game. So home ice, power play, I think the Sharks win and move on.
All right, great stuff. Can't wait. We'll have a Final Four by the end of the week. As we dwindle down, 30 teams, then 16 make the playoffs, and then we'll be down to 4 later.
Your math, where was that, Heidelberg College?
Heidelberg University
wow.
now. We're now University.
Wow.
Stepped up. For Pierre and Scotty in Pittsburgh, Barry Melrose here in Connecticut, I'm John Buccigross. Thanks for all of you for always clicking on ESPN.com for your Stanley Cup playoff content.